name is Garrett Smelker. This is Ramon Dominguez and Julian Heckman.
So I'm going to talk about the scope of the project. So we did a boundary and topographic survey. It had to be 8 to 12 acres. We had to look for visible utilities. It had to be in 1 foot contour intervals. And the whole purpose of the project was for us to gain experience and knowledge and applications to do a topographic and boundary survey. So our project actions. We obtained permission from the parcel owner and adjoiners. This was done by researching record documents. We did most of it online, but the stuff we couldn't find through the Doniana website, we ended up just going to the courthouse and finding all the information. And then next, we actually went out to the field and we went to recover and observe the monuments. And by doing this, this led us to the boundary calculations, analysis, and then our project now, which is our conclusion. So we have our plat back there in case you guys want to look at it. Same as the survey report, and then project documentation is included in the presentation. So safety plan, use of personal protective equipment such as vests, closed shoes. Safety is definitely one of the most important things for a surveyor. As you can see in the picture, we have our sign and we have a traffic lookout, which is pretty important, especially for our plot location. Traffic can't really see. I don't know if you can tell that it kind of hills over, and so traffic is 35 miles an hour through, so we definitely want to have somebody looking out while we're taking static observation. First aid kits are definitely necessary for response in case there is an emergency situation. So some local hazards. Sometimes we encounter wildlife, pretty scary. Coyotes, pretty common. Rattlesnakes, definitely don't want to get bit by one. Heat, we live in the desert Southwest. Especially in the summer, temperatures can go easily above 100. Again, snakes, stay away from them. They're no-go. And traffic, like I was saying, especially in our location, 35 miles an hour, definitely don't want to get hit. So property information, the property was owned by Wellesley W. Webbs. He lives in Las Cruces. It's tract 16 Soledad, this is number 2. It's 10 acres more or less. And the property is split into 2 zones, flood zone A and flood zone X. A is the 100-year floodplain, and flood zone X is the 500-year floodplain, and then it's a residential district 2, ER2. So that brings us to the zoning classification. So right here, outlined in red, is our parcel. If you go over here, we have the fire station, and then there's a couple electricity lines out there. Basically, the most important zoning requirements is the minimum lot size is 2 acres, and then minimum front setback is 25 feet. So as you see, we have 2 roads that intersect. They're both Solid Canyon. They run from north to south and east to west, or west to east. And there's a road above here, Dripping Springs, that leads us into the town of Las Cruces. The property is about 5 minutes from urban development. So, okay, so I'm going to give it off to Ramon.
So our first step was getting permissions from all the adjoining property owners and our subject property. We contacted them by phone. One of the adjoining property owners is actually a professor at the university, so it was really easy to contact him, get him to sign the paper. Phone call was the most effective way to contact most of the people, and then correspondence through email after that was effective. The history of the property: this is the original GLO plat, surveyed in 1858 by John Derrickson. It's a fractional township. We're in section 20 on this township, so we didn't really have to worry about the fractional part. Here's the dependent resurvey done by Richard Snyder in 1960. They complete the township, and this is the plat that the subdivision that was used for the subsequent plat and subdivision. This is the subdivision plat done by Jim Botsford. Right there says the northwest quarter of section 20 from the previous plat, subdivided into 16 parts, not equal parts. There's a closer view, better view. You can see some easements drawn onto the plat. And I'll hand it off to Gary.
So for the field work, we went ahead and used a Trimble R8 GPS. We used the base and the receiver with the TSC2 data collector, and we used AutoCAD for all of our drafting needs. With the data collector, we went ahead and used the NAVD 88, Datum, and the Geoid 12B, which I'll get into in a little bit. So for our retracement, we started searching for existing monumentation. While we were searching, we were running a 4-hour static observation. When we found existing monumentation, we ran a 2-minute RTK shot on it. We ended up finding the northwest and the northeast corner of our parcel. We used that as our basis of bearing. And we checked into the northwest corner of the section I'll get into, and it fit fantastic. So basically, in New Mexico, the minimum standards say if we don't find a monument, you have to reset it or restore it, its integrity if it's disturbed. For this purposes, we didn't set one, but with that in mind, we would have. So for the northwest section corner of section 20, it's a 1/2-inch iron rod, the yellow plastic cap, 5 foot from the edge of pavement along Soledad Canyon Road. This was an original tie on the Botsford plat that we used. And we used that to check our basis of bearing and our distance. Then in the northeast corner of our section, of our tract, we found a 1/2-inch iron rod. There wasn't a distinguishing cap on it, but at this site was a 48-inch tall pipe that was used for line of sight. They're just tall enough to be over the bushes, and we actually found them on adjoiner lots. At the northwest corner, about 15 feet off the road, is an iron rod, yellow plastic cap 5939. That's actually Botsford's partner. That's not Botsford himself. But as they were part of the company, we went ahead and accepted it. It had existing evidence. It also had the pipe. In the southwest corner, we weren't able to find the monument. Soledad Canyon Road runs right there, and it seems to be destroyed. And so we went ahead, it would be reset with a 1/2-inch iron rod. New Mexico standard says that the rod needs to be minimum of a 1/2 inch, 16 inches long, with some type of identifying marker such as a plastic cap, aluminum cap. And at the southeast corner, this monument actually lands in the center line of Soledad Canyon Road. Unable to find any monuments there, we would have went ahead and reset a mag nail with a washer on it. We set these at record because we use that basis of bearing. We checked into the adjoiners, we checked into the northwest corner of the section, and it all fit, met minimum standards. That's pretty common in New Mexico to use the record. For the topo itself, we did a 50 by 50 grid, catching all the break lines in between. We had our vertical control was set up off that 4-hour static observation using an NGS solution. It utilized NAVD 88, and the data collector was set up with the 12B, Geoid 12B. We set that nail on site for vertical control, and then we also gave a tie back to the northwest section corner. Going into the easements, there's a 90-foot wide easement it's a road easement on the westerly and southerly boundaries. This actually encompasses all of Soledad Canyon Road on the west, and it runs down the center line of Soledad Canyon Road. The boundary runs down the center line of Soledad Canyon Road on the south. And then on the easterly and northerly boundaries, there's a 10-foot wide utility easement that's 5 feet on both sides. Existing water is shown here. There's a fire hydrant, City of Las Cruces, electric by El Paso Electric. El Paso Electric's not on site, but we could tap into it and run it under the road. And telephone on site provided by CenturyLink. It's just New Mexico standard that 90% of the points tested shall be within the 1/2 the contour interval. We meet this by using the NGS Opus solution. And that's only for a topo, that's not for the boundary.
So next, I'll talk about the site analysis. So we did topography and geology. Our parcel is relatively flat, and there's 2 naturally occurring drains, and we commonly call them arroyos, and essentially those arroyos come from the Organ Mountain runoff. It's generally pretty sandy. We have sparse brush and native vegetation throughout the whole parcel. It's, like I said earlier, it's divided into 2 sections. So most of the parcel is section X. Yeah, section X. Yeah, flood zone X, and that's the 500-year floodplain. Section A is definitely a flood zone. It's flood zone A. Flood zone A is a 100-year floodplain. So if you were to build something in flood zone A, you would have to have a water prevention and retention plan to prevent any runoff occurring from the Organ Mountains. The soil allows for local roads to be constructed without need to input base material. Hand it off to Ramon.
That's a great property for rural living, and if you want to be close to the city, the city of Las Cruces is only 5 miles away, and you have all the grocery stores, convenience stores, and everything for city life near the property. There's a really good view of the Organ Mountains. They're very beautiful, and there's hardly any light pollution, so you can see a lot of stars in the sky at night. There's a fire department adjacent to the property, so that's a good security thing, and Las Cruces Police would be the police department servicing the area as well.
So as we said, this is a great site for development. If it is to be subdivided, it'd have to be a minimum of 2-acre lots. You can kind of get around that with a cluster subdivision. It'd get kind of tight putting that in with the way the arroyos run on the property. In this area, it's middle to upper class, really nice homes, family environment. Building outside of flood zone A is ideal. Avoid the higher insurance rates. But the property is currently valued at $155,000, and after being subdivided with houses on it, each lot could sell upwards of $400,000. So it's a great opportunity for development. It's just a beautiful site. So, thank you for your time. Any questions?
Questions from the judges?
Can you explain how you tested your topographic standard, that 1/2 the contour interval?
We got that off of the NGS Opus solution. It gave us our residuals. It said that we were in the 95 percentile with our measurements. We would have liked to test it on an actual monument. The nearest monument was about 5 miles, and with time constraints, we were unable to do that.
Yes.
Made a reference to remonumenting an obliterated corner. Is that something that was done under the guidance of a professional land surveyor?
But we didn't actually reset it. We
Okay.
reset it for the theory of the project.
Okay,
But-
for theory of the project, you would have reset it, but yeah, okay.
Yes,
It's
sir.
kind of, the way you said it, I was kind of wondering, did they run out there setting anything?
No, sir, we nothing.
Okay, thank you.
Any reason why you picked this lot in particular?
We think it would be great for a subdivision. It was great for development, and it had relief in the arroyos. We thought the contour lines would look real nice on that.
To clarify the question that he asked, you said the Opus point, you got a 95 percentile on that. He was asking, how did you know that you did okay with all your other topo points?
Yeah, we weren't able, we would have liked to check into a NGS monument to check that, but we just went ahead and accepted that the data was correct, but we didn't actually do any field check on it.
We had our contour intervals, or our grid spacing, in a way that the distance between the points were significantly less than the vertical distance between the points. The horizontal distance was significantly less than the vertical distance between the points.
On your map, you showed both sides of the north-south street. So, yeah, the street that's going north-south along your west boundary. What's happening on the south side of Soledad Canyon Road on that east-west? Is that, you said the center line, or the property line is down the center of the existing paved road?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And there's an easement to the south that we weren't able to find documentation on it,
Okay.
but there will be an easement for that.
Okay. But did you locate the roadbed, the pavement on the other side of your property line?
Yes, sir, it's shown on there.
Okay.
Did this property fall within the city limits too, or just county?
They actually just extended the city limits a couple months ago to extend this whole area for development. It's starting to boom.